Yo, what is good YouTube? Today we're back once again with another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a Pokemon that I think is criminally underrated right now and a specific team that I want to play it on. Now, as you can see in front of you, that Pokemon here is Iron Jugulis, and I think this Pokemon's play is going to spike severely in Regulation C, and the main reason for that is I genuinely think this might be the best Tailwind setter we have in the game. Now, if you have a look at the other Tailwind setters we have, right, the main one I think everyone will think of, at least right now, is Talonflame, right? Talonflame, I think, is, well, at least in Series 2, was easily the best Tailwind setter. Followed closely behind that, you're looking at Pokemon like Roaring Moon, which I originally thought was going to be the best Tailwind setter coming into the format. Then you got other Pokemon like Dragonite, etc., you know. But I definitely think Roaring Moon and Talonflame were the two main ones basically coming into the format. Now, I think Talonflame's biggest issue when it comes to Tailwind is the number one Pokemon in the format right now that I think really wants to play with Tailwind is a Pokemon called Chi-Yu. For those who don't know, Chi-Yu, obviously one of the Ruin Mons, very, very strong, absurdly high special attack stat, ridiculously good ability. I think this Pokemon really wants to play with Tailwind. Only issue is leading to fire types is kind of iffy, right? You don't really want to like have to lead a Talonflame Chi-Yu. It doesn't feel good a lot of the time. So you take Talonflame out of that. I still think Talonflame's really good with, you know, mods like Chien Power, obviously the Great Tusk and whatnot, but I do think its play will definitely drop. But then the other one was Roaring Moon. So Roaring Moon was another mon that I thought was going to be the primary Tailwind setter of the format. I thought it was going to be the best one. And it honestly, I think its biggest issue, at least Roaring Moon's biggest issue right now, is all of the Ruin mons are like really good and they're all dark types. What do dark types have in common? Besides Chi-Yu, obviously, they're all weak to Fairy and they're all weak to fighting. Roaring Moon does not want to take any physical fighting hits. It doesn't want to take any fairy hits. It isn't that good into those. But then that leaves us with Iron Jugulis. Now, one thing I also forgot to mention with Chi-Yu and Roaring Moon is the Beads of Ruin doesn't really help Roaring Moon, and like the one good thing Roaring Moon has outside of obviously its absurdly high attack stat is it actually has really good special bulk. And Chi-Yu kind of just like nerfs its special bulk, which isn't great. But then we have this one here, Iron Jugulis. Obviously, Iron Jugulis is primarily a very strong special attacker, but it also has access to a few cool things, right? So at 108 base speed, it's pretty cool. But the other thing is we are seeing a lot of drop in Iron Bundle, right? I still think Iron Bundle is really good, but less Iron Bundle means there's another Pokemon to hold the booster energy, which is, I think, what Iron Jugulis really wants is booster energy. And then again, you look at its stats, a base 122 special attack is really good. Even if you put no investment in it, it's still 142. That's still a pretty decent special attack stat. And basically the way I've been playing this thing is really bulky. So you go something like Timid, you go up to, I personally have been playing to around here, the 168. The main reason I go 168 is in case you run into like any Timid Choice Scarf Chi-Yus, because you really don't want to take the heat wave from this thing. Oh, I didn't get Timid. So you see this, the base 100 is basically go to this. If you really wanted, you could go a little higher just to speed creep the Garchomps, but I don't think you'll ever run into like a Choice Scarf Garchomp, or at least it's going to be very rare that you'll see one. But yeah, so I was playing that, you know, basically near max HP, something like this. And then it was just like dump most of the points in special defense, go like this, and then you've got Tailwind. As I said, I do think it's gonna be like the best Tailwind setter in the game. And then you got moves like Snarl, you've got Air Slash, so that's Air Cutter, and then Protect. I'll quickly fix this up. Air Slash. Yeah, so this here is, you know, you look at it, it doesn't really do that much damage. Like, obviously, Tailwind's nice. Snarl, like, it's a stab Snarl, right, off a decent special attack, so it's still really good. Really good, obviously, into a lot of the meta. You know, you got the Flutter Mains, the Chi-Yus, the Iron Bundles rolling around. Glamoura's also picked up a lot lately. But then, one move that I personally really underrated was Air Slash. Now, yes, this move has a 5% chance to miss, which sucks. It does a 75 base attack stab move, which is pretty nice. But that 30% flinch chance has actually been huge a lot of the time I play this. Because I have noticed when I play Iron Jugulis, a lot of people kind of just let it sit there and they just ignore it. Like, it's kind of like, you know, kill their friend syndrome, right? Everyone just wants to kill whatever's next to the Iron Jugulis. Thankfully, it's actually pretty good. Like, this one actually does a good chunk of damage. Like, I do think it's criminally underrated. I was basically just copying like a very similar set to what Wolfie ran at the one of the last regionals. Terra Steel, I think it's just fantastic defensive typing on this. Yeah, it's just overall a really, really good mon. And now I kind of just want to touch on, I guess, the mons I put around it. Oh, and boys, of course, you probably think I forgot. I didn't forget, I swear. Make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and it would really mean the world to me if you hit the subscribe button. Please, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the video. So the main mon was Chi-Yu. For me, Chi-Yu was my favorite of the Ruinous mons. It is one of my favorite Pokemon introduced in this generation. I love this mon so much. But the biggest issue I think Chi-Yu has is his base 100 speed stat, right? it's still a really nice speed stat. Like 100 is still really nice, but the issue is when you start looking at some of the popular mons at the moment, right? You got Fluttermane. This one's an absolute beast, right? 135. You look at its, one of its ruined counterparts, Chen Pao. Base 135. It has access to a move called Sacred Sword, yeah? Oh, Sacred Sword. This is like always one-shotting it. I think Chiyu's like favorite Terra right now is you're looking at probably something like Terra Ghost, Terra Grass maybe. Chen Pao kind of just eats all the Terras it wants to go for, yeah? And so this mod's like in this really awkward spot where it hits so damn hard and it's pretty frail. Like its defensive stats actually aren't bad. Like 80 defense is okay. 120 special defense, really good. Its issue is that 55 HP stat, yeah. So this mon is like super, super offensive, especially with Beads of Ruin. For those who don't know, reduces everyone's special defense but itself. Fantastic ability, especially when you pair with this absurdly strong attack stat. Special attack stat, sorry. So that is why I think basically Chiyu and the Iron Jugulis work so well together, but they also cover two of Fairy's main weaknesses as well, which is like fantastic. Sorry, not Fairy, Dark. I probably should have said 3. So because Chiyu is a fire type, it is neutral to Fairy, and because Iron Jugulis is a flying type, it is neutral to fighting. And both flying and fire resist bug, which is obviously like one of the other main weaknesses of Dark. So I think their defensive typings when paired together are really good because they both cover some of the defensive weaknesses that the Dark typing has. But then you look at this team, right, and you need to think like what else does I guess what else do these mons want to play with, right? And one of the mons that obviously we just had it up on the screen actually is Fluttermane. This is another insanely strong special attacker, right? Again, you look at this thing's stats, it's absurdly fast. It has this insanely good special attacks that just a fantastic mon. Honestly, a fantastic mon, incredibly good, yeah. This is another mon that when paired with Chiyu, when paired with Iron Jugulis, it goes absolutely sicko. Fantastic mon. I guess I will quickly I'll update this to kind of show you guys what I was running with this mon. So one of the sets I was running, so we had this here, we had the Life Orb, we went for the Terra Fairy. I like Terra Fairy for a specific reason, and we'll go over that in a second. But you look at something like you got Heat Wave, you've got Dark Pulse, you got the Terra Blast, and you have the Protect. Now, there are a couple different things you can do with this set. So if I wasn't going to run the Terra Blast, I would probably look to change this to like Terra Ghost and put Nasty Plot in this slot. I do think when you've got something like Tailwind on the team, you can definitely look to go for a bulkier setup set. So something like that could be really cool. But personally, I just ran something like this. I think I went just to the bump there and then just basically dumped everything else in here. If you want, you can drop one off, split it. It is what it is. Basically, yeah. So the whole purpose of this set, I guess, for those who don't know, you go to the 9 just for Life Orb recoil chip. Really, really good. I did keep the max speed. This is something I'll definitely play around with in the near future. The more comfortable I get with the team and whatnot, the more I'll adjust these things. But yeah, I definitely think you probably don't need max speed. You could honestly even look to go something like Modest, maybe drop the speed down a little bit. But again, I'll leave that for now. That's something for a later video. Maybe you always want Timid, actually. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to have to play with, but this is what I was using for now to great success as well. I think I got to like 1500 on the showdown ladder with it, so like really, really good. And then as partner in crime, Fluttermane, this one just like... There's a few different ways you can play this, right? So I'll show you guys the 2 main ways I use it. So first one is Choice Specs, right? So for anyone who doesn't know what Choice Specs Fluttermane does, this thing does just insane damage, right? Like again, you look at this 135 special attack stat, insanely broken. You pair that with Beads of Ruin. Like if you get these 2 mons on the board at the same time and you have the speed advantage, like this mon just goes sicko. Yeah, it's absurd. It's way too good, man. Way too good. But yeah, so if you're playing like a Choice Spec set, you probably don't want like max. One of the sets I personally ran was, I think it was something like this. I think this is the set I took to OCIC. It's still a really, really good set to this day. This defensive investment allows you to live a non-Terra Jet Punch from a hero form Palafin. Also allows you to live a Life Orb Sucker Punch. Sorry, not Sucker Punch. Life Orb Shadow Sneak from a Mimikyu. Just overall a pretty decent bulky set. And then you've got your main stab moves for this mon, which are obviously Shadow Ball. You've got the Dazzling Gleam, and you got the Moonblast. These are like always you always want at least 2 of these 3 moves on like any set you play. If you're playing a Choice Spec set, I would also recommend not that one. You go for something like a Power Gem. Power Gem really good into like the Arcanines of the world. Volcarona, just fantastic. Honestly, it's just a fantastic move. Other things you could look at too, potentially because you are sorry, I should say first, Terra Fairy I think is just like the best Terra on this mon. It allows you to always live Sucker Punches. It obviously gives you just ridiculously strong Dazzling Gleams and Moonblast, which again with specs paired next to Chiyu, that like it's absurd. So much damage coming out of this mon. But also, because you are specs, you could also look at a defensive Terra. I think Terra Steel is really, really good. I personally do like Terra Water with Terra Blast. I think there are certain situations where having a really powerful water stab on a mon like Fluttermane is really, really good too. So that is definitely food for thought. But personally, on a team like this, look, I am not gonna lie, I love having Focus Sashes, yeah? So, like, Focus Sash is another fantastic move. You chuck it here, you go something like this, Protect there. Just really, really good, really consistent. And then another option too is, again, it depends on the team. I don't have it on this team, but it's definitely something I would consider, is actually putting, like, Icy Wind in the Dazzling Gleam slot. This is just another fantastic, like, move where Fluttermane is already so damn fast that just being able to boost your mon just is really good. And by mon, I mean Chiyu, of course. But yeah, so this is just, again, another fantastic mon, just two really, really good mons to pair with Chiyu. And the next one I was looking at in particular was Iron Bundle. So this isn't a mon I had on the original pace for the team. And look, I'll hopefully put both pace down below just so you guys can see both like variants of it. Now, Iron Bundle did actually make me change the set. So I do believe on the most recent one, I did actually go for a choice specs simply because I wanted my sash on the bundle. Well, that's focus band, Scott. Yeah, so we wanted the focus sash on the Iron Bundle. Now, this just gives us another mode into some of the more common teams at the minute, yeah? So Icy Wind, again, obviously a fantastic speed control mon. You go Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is just fantastic. It's really good into Ting-Lu if you don't want to like risk your Hydro Pumps. Obviously, I think Dozo is a mon that's rising up again. I think people are starting to realize like, hey, you can use these Chiyus, these Chen Powers, and you can make Iron, like, basically just like Iron Bundle is there because I think Dozo once again is just going to come back. I think that one's fantastic. Hydro Pump 80% of the time is really good, and Protect, just again, Protect I think is fantastic. On a set like this, you just run max. You could probably adjust it slightly, but I wouldn't bother. I think max is just always really good on Iron Bundle. And yeah, so with this team here, you start to get this like insanely oppressive core, right? So maybe actually I should have put Iron Bundle next. So one of the mons, so I guess the next mon I've been using a lot too, and I did call this right when the format was announced, is actually Glamora. I think this mon is another fantastic one at the minute. And one thing I love with Glamora is, depending on how you want to like round out the team. So I should actually move this, yeah. So I actually had Glamora here. So the core 4 of this team was with Glamora, and Iron Bundle was added in later. So Glamora does a few cool things. You can either run like an Assault Vest set. You could also run maybe a Citrus Berry if you want. Just depends on the team and how you want to play it. But Glamora, I think, fits this fantastic role on the team, right? You can go Terra Grass. On a set like this, you just go for, you always go for the Power Gem. You go for the Sludge Bomb. You look at basically the next 2 slots are kind of like up for debate. I think Earth Power is like fantastic here, and then you can always go with Energy Ball. Now again, one of the next members we'll talk about with a team like this is Wo-Chien. You don't have to run Wo-Chien. I really do like Wo-Chien on a team like this because it does give you this option where you can decide to drop one of the moves. Now this is the issue with Glamora, is this one doesn't want to drop any of these moves, I don't think, on an Assault Vest set. But say for an example, depending on how you build the team and what you're weak to, you could always drop one of them for Mortal Spin. Now, Mortal Spin and then like putting a Wo-Chien in this last slot makes your team like, it puts you in this situation where, again, sorry, I should probably specify this. If you go for Wo-Chien, I probably wouldn't go Iron Bundle. I'd look probably another defensive supportive mon to put with the team. But yeah, if you go like Mortal Spin and pair this with like Wo-Chien, all of a sudden you can just like start breaking through teams. You stall them out. You Mortal Spin, you Poison 2, you drop some Toxic Splice up the Toxic Debris. All of a sudden the Wo-Chien's sitting there. You're stalling out everything. It's really, really good. You also start chipping mons and putting them in range of your offensive mons in the back, which is like insanely good, right? Like I've had situations where, I'll drop a mon to like 70%. All of a sudden, a mon my Chiyu shouldn't be able to like a one-shot. It just one-shots because like I've poisoned them, I've stalled out a turn. They maybe pick up a KO on my Glamora, but now my Chiyu gets to come in for free and do its thing. I think this is a fantastic mon at the minute. Now, this mon too, in terms of its stats, there are basically 2 ways to run this mon, right? And I'll kind of go over both of them right now. So one of my favorite ways to run Glamora right now is you either look to max out one of these 2 stats. It's up to you. It really doesn't matter that much which one you go for. I would probably say go for something like this, and then you want to bump this up to 108, and then from there I just split the defenses. And we chuck the Modest Nature. The reason we do this basically is to get as much HP as possible, because this mon naturally is pretty defensive as is. Like I shouldn't say it's defensive. It's got decent bulk. It's nothing crazy. But with max HP Assault Vest, it's pretty decent. The special attacker, we just go to the 3rd bump, basically just to get the maximum efficiency. And we go to the 12 points in speed. Just that way, under Tailwind, we are still faster than a max speed Iron Bundle. No, sorry, that's a lie. That speed is for what's it called? 108 guarantees us to outspeed Dragapult, which again I think 107 also gets you to outspeed Dragapult, but it's like speed creeping and stuff. Yeah. But something like this is fantastic. But again, so this is what I would pair if I was going with something like a Wo-Chien team. If I'm not playing with Wo-Chien, I would probably do something like this. You drop this, you go to timid. Probably drop that a little bit more for now. And we go to about the 140 is what I like to go for. So this is what I play when I play with something like the Iron Bundle, right? Because basically you want that Icy Wind to like drop mons below your Glimmora. Now, again, you could, like, people might argue like going a little faster. That way, you know, you can outspeed Dragapult, but most Dragapults now are clear body. And I think they should always be clear body. So I don't think there's any point in trying to speed creep a -1 Dragapult. I think it's a bit silly. But something like this is fantastic. If I was going for a set like this, I would definitely always drop this Energy Ball. That's Earth Power Scott. Yeah, there's definitely no point in running the Mortal Spin, I think, if you're playing like this more aggressive fast set. Because this thing's job is basically you want to play with your Iron Juggius, you want to play with your, you know, your Iron Bundle, potentially your Fluttermane. You want to, you know, drop their speed or boost your speed and then just pick up KOs. Just a fantastic mon right now, I think. Its ability is fantastic. If you can get those spikes down early and, you know, chip down some mons in the back, it is, yeah, unreal. All right, and then to round out this version of the team, I'll just kind of go over the two different versions I built. So on a team like this, because I'm a lot more offensive, I didn't go the Wo-Chien. I actually just went like the other defensive grass type, which is just the Amoonguss. And again, this one can be run in a few different ways. I think Citrus Berry is definitely the most consistent way to play this one. Another thing I think that's definitely going to pick up at the minute is Rocky Helmet. And I'll show you why. So I think Rocky Helmet Terra Steel is like fantastic lead into the Dragonite plus Chien. Yeah, Dragonite plus, what's it called? Champion. Basically, what this allows you to do, you go for something like Terra Steel. Yeah, you've got your Regenerator, obviously. And you lead this alongside your Fluttermane. And 9 times out of 10, what they're actually going to do is just like E-Speed plus Ice Spinner into your Amoonguss slot, right? Because like, unless you're a type that like resists both, it's just picking up the KOs, yeah? And I'm pretty sure, I think this is the only type that actually resists Ice Spinner and E-Speed. Maybe Rock does. I don't know if Rock actually resists Ice though off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. But this set is pretty simple, right? You just go the normal stuff. You go like something like this, Rage Powder Spore, obviously your 2 best stabs. Depending on the team, I still run Clear Smog. I just like it to have it into the Dozos, and then the last one is just the Pollen Puff, yeah. Pollen Puff, obviously, really good side heal, just a fantastic move overall. And the set's pretty simple. For those who don't know, I think you almost always want to go 236 HP on your Shroom. Basically, 219 HP is just, it basically just makes the Regenerator regen, like, perfect, yeah. And then, sorry, optimal. I shouldn't say perfect. It's optimal. And then from here, again, it depends on what you're most scared of. I personally like going something like this on my Shroom. You either go like 156. If you want, you can maybe chuck it up a little more, dump the rest in Spadef, and then you just go Bold Nature. So you could do something like that. As I said, I like going to like 156 just because I like a bit of all-round bulk. Something else you could also look at too, if you're like crazy, is you drop some points here and you put them here. Basically at 110, you basically would speed creep everyone trying to outspeed that 108 speeds here, right? The one we kind of talked about with Glimmora before. You'll notice you'll get a lot of slow mons, like maybe you'll have, you know, these slow Glimmoras, you could have the slow Goldangos. So pairing that with the Tailwind can be a bit cheeky. I personally wouldn't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. Something like that, very standard, very solid. And yeah, just an overall great mon. It gives you the support you need. It gives you a mon that can absorb the toxic spikes that Glimmoras are getting up at the minute, because that is becoming quite popular. So I love having Amoonguss in the back. It is also just a great defensive pivot for a team like this, especially when it's a team that's so offensive. Having a fantastic defensive pivot that also has redirection is fantastic. And a team like this really does struggle into that Chien Power combo. So having the ability to just, you know, redirect, chip them both with a Rocky Helmet, and then fire off a Dazzling Gleam, that would most likely, it's going to pick up the Chien Power if it doesn't Terra. And normally they are like banded D-Knights anyway. So at that point, you kind of don't really care if they go like Terra normal banded E-Speed into a Fluttermane. But yeah, this here is a team really consistent. I will drop the full pace down below. But before we get out of here, I will quickly touch on that other core we looked at. And that was Wo-Chien. So as I said, when you have a guy like Wo-Chien, he's in here, he's doing his thing right there. Look, anyone here, you know, who's played Wo-Chien knows this thing is an absolute beast. I think this mon was incredibly slept on. I made a video about it at the start of the format. I think Wo-Chien right now is just, I think it's just really good. It matches up super nice into a lot of the meta. And I guess the question is like, what does it do? Yeah, so you go leftovers on it, and Tablets of Ruin. This is fantastic on a team like this that is like all special attackers and all pretty poor on the physical defensive side. Yeah, see this base 80 defense, base 120 special defense, obviously a lot higher. 55 defense, 135 special defense. Again, special defense is a lot higher. This mon has obviously better defensive stats, but with the AV max HP, its defensive stat is obviously a bit lower than its defensive stat. Really nice. And then on our Iron Jugulis as well, we put a bit more into the special defense. They are pretty even, but again, having Snarl plus the attack drop is like really, really good for a mon like Iron Jugulis. So I guess the next question is, how do we build this mon? Pretty similar to the Amoongus. Side Pole and Puff is just always really, really good on this mon. It loves having a move like Leech Seed. You go Protect because you want to be able to stall out when you have the Toxic on the board. And then the move I've been running a lot is Foul Play. Now, I think Foul Play is fantastic because a lot of these mons out here that counter it, you're looking at mons like, I guess Palafin isn't really like a hard counter, but obviously it's a mon that does like to click like close combat if it's into you. You got other mons out there too that like, the Annihilates or whatnot of the world that, do quite a bit of damage to you with like Drain Punches and whatnot. And yeah, I think it's just really nice to be able to fire off a stab Foul Play that isn't affected by a Tablet to Ruin. Really, really good. In terms of the defensive type on this, I know a lot of people were running like Terror of Water to start. I think Terror of Poison has just like taken over as the best defensive type on this mon. It's fantastic. And the kind of set you want to run, always max HP. I like putting quite a bit into my defense. I go to about 140, I think it is. Yeah, and then we basically just put the rest in special defense. The reason for this stat is basically we hit the bump here, we dump the rest into this, and we just drop our stats, just like this. And this mon, again, when paired with Glamora, it's fantastic because if they aim Glamora, you can side pole and puff. You can, Mortal Spin, set up some Leech Seeds, and just start spamming. Another thing too, I didn't really touch on with this as well. You can go like Citrus Berry on like this, and then like drop one of these, probably like, I want to say Earth Power, but then you kind of don't like Steel type, so maybe like Power Gem, and you just put Spiky Shield in that slot. Didn't touch on that before. Really, really good as well. If you got Spiky Shield paired up with like Leech Seed, you poison everything, it honestly becomes ridiculous how quickly you can kill mons just by stalling them out with these two. Like, it's absurd. And then the last one I put on this team, or at least this version of the team, which was like half super offensive, half like really half super offensive, half like stally, was actually Indeedee Female. Now, Indeedee Female, I think, has an interesting niche at the minute. And basically the way I played Indeedee Female was with, where is it? Scott, think. Rocky Helmet, that's the one. Same thing we had on our shroom before. So you have Psychic Surge, and then here I did have Terra Fairy. Honestly, so I played Terra Fairy. I think Terra Steel with Psychic actually might be like the best way to play this one, not gonna lie. And then you just go like Follow Me, you go Helping Hand, and you go Protect. Now, in terms of its stats, or at least its EV spread, I think it's just like, you're looking at just something like this, yeah? Like maybe if you want, you drop like one off this, and then you just like split these. Oh, come on, split them, Scott, split them. There. Oh, damn. Yeah, something like this, and you just go bold. Basically, this mon's like sole purpose is to help you into one priority teams. Like, it's really good for Palafin. It's fantastic into the D-Knight combo, because like what happens is, right, you go for something like Terra Steel, and then or Terra Fairy. Again, depends what you want to do. As I said, I really like Terra Fairy, but this, again, pairing this mon with like your Flutter Mane on leads, really good, because you can go Follow Me, forcing the Chien Power to attack into the Indeedee with its Ice Spinner. The Rocky Helmet breaks its Sash. The Flutter Mane picks up the KO. Even if you trade, it's still really good chip into the D-Knight. Again, it's fantastic up against, like opposing Flutter Manes, because obviously you are that normal type. So the Follow Me, means like they kind of have to go for a Move Blast or a Dazzling Gleam, which allows you to potentially pick up KOs. I think it is just a fantastic, fantastic support for a team like this. And while I don't know how good it is going to be long term, I definitely did enjoy this version of the team. I think this version of the team I actually had the most success with. I think on this version of the team, though, this was Focus Sash. Again, I'll drop the links to the actual teams I played down in the description. But yeah, they were the two teams I played around Iron Jugulis, guys. I know I kind of didn't touch on it much towards the end, but I do think this is just like a fantastic support mon that can also put out a lot of offensive pressure. Because again, even this team here, which is like more stall orientated, or not stall orientated, but it has a defensive mode and offensive mode, right? You look at these two insanely powerful offensive threats. And then even Glamora, like people forget this thing has base 130 special attack. Like this one's actually insane. And then even in DD, like sure it only has 95 special attack and we have like no investment, but Psychic in Psychic Terrain, like if you get a Tailwind up with this thing, like it does outspeed a lot of the meta and it does just start firing off insanely powerful attacks. Like I've had games where like an Iron Hands will sit there, ignore my DD and Psychic Terrain and I'll two-shot it. Like it's, yeah, like this is not a mon to be slept on. Like I do think it's really good. And yeah, I think Iron Jugulis, as I said at the start, is probably my favorite Tailwind setter right now. This one's fantastic. And yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. I know I kind of just rambled on towards the end there. There's been like, I don't know, like 20 odd minutes of me just, you know, showing you a team I built and I've worked on over the week. But yeah, if you could guys, of course, always like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It means the world to me. But yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.